भारत अगर एक शिक्षित देश होता और साहित्य और साहित्यकारों की वो जगह होती जो आज हमारे देश में सिर्फ राजनेताओं और सिनेमा के एक्टरों की है, तो वीएस नाइपॉल को शायद खुदा माना जाता। लेकिन भारत में साहित्य की ना वो कदर है और ना ही वीएस नाइपॉल को वो सम्मान मिला जो उनका हक होना चाहिए। जो मान्यता उनको भारत में नहीं मिली, बाकी दुनिया में पूरी तरह से मिली है। यहाँ तक कि कईयों का कहना है कि 20वीं सदी के जीवित लेखकों में से इनकी जगह सबसे ऊपर है।
I come back to India because I want to understand more. I'm not coming back for magic. I'm coming back, in fact, to face a lot of pain and to understand more. And I come back really to look for signs of hope, really.
नाइपॉल साहब 9 सालों बाद भारत आए हुए थे और हमने उनके साथ दिल्ली में एक दिन बिताया। इलेक्शन का वक्त था तो हमारी बातें शुरू हुई भारतीय राजनीति से, जिसको वीएस नाइपॉल ने हमेशा एक अलग नजर से देखा है। इस इलेक्शन को हमारे राजनेताओं ने कम्युनलिज्म और सेक्युलरिज्म के बीच एक जंग बना दिया था, पर नाइपॉल साहब इन मसलों को इतिहास की नजर से देखते हैं।
Well, I think this whole thing is so profound. The two main religions in the subcontinent. I would say even the word communal should be applied very, very carefully. I've been looking at monuments, and I'm amazed in places like Belur, Halibid, which are really pretty far south. I'm amazed at the ravages on that very confident Hindu culture, the confidence expressed in those temples. And I feel that Hindu India, the old Hindu India, was probably much more fatally wounded than people are willing to admit here. And I think that Hindus withdrew into very small religious shells, rejecting the outer world. Hinduism permits people to do that, to say that the world is illusion. But that was the response of a defeated people. I feel that India has been living through a dark age with the washing away of its old Hindu kingdoms as a result of the Muslim invasions. And I think unless this problem is faced very fairly and very squarely by both sides, understanding how they've come to be in the subcontinent together, how an Arab religion could have such a strong following in the subcontinent, unless that fact is understood and talked about, there probably will be no peace. There probably will be no what you call communal understanding.
Do you think that the way they try to deal with it,
the BJP,
yes, they actually say similar things, not in as civilized a way and not in as historical a context, but basically they are saying that we have to overcome, we have to deal with what was the enslavement of India by foreigners. We also have to deal with the fact that these foreigners then broke India up. Because they weren't satisfied even with having done what they'd done. And it was by inciting that kind of sentiment that they got the crowds that went to Ayodhya. How do you view that?
Well, I probably am not as horrified by Ayodhya as most people. I see it as I see that, Babur was no friend of India. Babur had little regard for the people of India, and Babur's building of a mosque there would have been an expression of contempt. So, in a way, if you behave in this way, you challenge hubris, if you're a builder and a conqueror. And when Nemesis catches up with you a few centuries later, really one shouldn't complain.
नाइपॉल जो कहते हैं वही बातें हिंदुत्व के राजनीतिक पहरेदार भी कहते हैं, लेकिन यहाँ नाइपॉल का रास्ता उनसे अलग हो जाता है। जहाँ हिंदुत्व के झंडे के नीचे चलने वालों का मानना है कि भारत की पुरानी संस्कृति को जिंदा करने से ही एक नई शुरुआत हो सकती है, वहाँ नाइपॉल कहते हैं कि ये शुरुआत, ये रेनेसांस तभी संभव है जब हम मान लें कि वो पुराना युग खत्म हो चुका है।
I feel that when a death occurs, a cultural death, which I feel did occur, more or less completely, in Hindu India. A true revival comes about when people understand that the past was really dead, the past is destroyed, painful as it is to acknowledge. It is like, as I said earlier, the Dark Ages in Europe, when there was a strong wish among people to feel that the old world was continuing. The classical world was just going on and on and on. But the Renaissance doesn't come about through that people trying to pretend that the past is going on. The Renaissance comes when people understand that the past is over and things have to be understood. And this is where I think this is where, in fact, I would probably part company with the political postures of the BJP, insofar as I understand them. I haven't really gone into their manifesto. I would like this much more exhilarating understanding that India is now having a renaissance. The renaissance is actually not a Hindu renaissance. It has come about through British rule, which introduced India to the ideas of the European Renaissance. I don't think Hindu India had it in itself to generate these ideas about law and institutions and the rights of the individuals and nations, and I don't think that was there.
नाइपॉल के ख्यालों, उनकी किताबों से अक्सर विवाद शुरू हुए हैं, शायद इसलिए कि वो अपनी बात खुल के कहने से कभी डरे नहीं हैं। तो जब बातें शुरू हुई भारत के वर्तमान की, उन्होंने कहा कि जहां हमको गांधी जी का सम्मान और आदर अब भी करना चाहिए, वहीं हमको उनके विचारों पे दोबारा सोचना चाहिए।
I think that Gandhi, in a way, an immense figure. One must talk of him with reverence. But I don't think people who talk about Gandhi have actually, many of the people have actually studied what he said. His ideas about poverty and spinning, the spinning wheel and things like that, they were historical ideas at a particular moment. They're not universal ideas.
Cinema verite? Cinema verite, yes, absolutely, absolutely.
नाइपॉल साहब कहते हैं कि जब वो 1962 में भारत पहली दफा आए तो उनको ऐसा लगा कि इस देश को अपनी गरीबी पे गर्व था, और इन पिछले 30 सालों में सबसे अहम तब्दीली यही हुई है कि भारत में जो मध्य वर्ग, जो मिडिल क्लास बनी है, इनको देश की प्रगति पे ज्यादा गर्व है बजाय कि उसकी गरीबी पर। There's a lot of feeling, especially among our politicians, that the middle class in India is completely insensitive to what they still call the real India, and that it's just a vulgar middle class.
I think it's extreme folly. They should not do what the Russians did in the 30s, destroy the people who might have been the scene cord of true progress and true feeding of the masses and true upliftment of the people. Movement comes from the middle class. It doesn't come from the matchstick people. The middle class produced the wealth, the middle class produced the ideas, the humanity, the sensibility that can deal with the problems. It doesn't come from people who are so depressed and deprived and outside it. And after all, this middle class here it has taken about 150 years to produce. To destroy it now would be suicide. The middle class should be cosseted, the middle class should be encouraged, and it should be expanded and expanded and expanded. That is where the hope lies.
नाइपॉल साहब अपनी किताबों के बारे में खुद बात करना पसंद नहीं करते। उन्होंने हमको सुझाव ये दिया कि उनके काम के बारे में किसी और से बात की जाए।
I very seriously believe that I can critically substantiate the case, I think, and began to do so at Delhi University and at a Lucknow seminar recently, that Naipaul is at least the most important writer of the diaspora, and has written one or two of the best books of the late 20th century. And he has always found new ways of doing things, and in that I would compare him to the great figures of the European tradition. Naipaul's method as well as his purpose in inquiring into a place, is to lay it bare, is to give you an insight, not to confuse you or to cover up the truth with lies.
नाइपॉल साहब को हमने भारतीय साहित्य, भारत की आधुनिक संस्कृति के बारे में पूछा। क्या हमारा साहित्य, हमारे सिनेमा में कोई नयापन है, और अगर नहीं है तो क्यों नहीं?
You shouldn't run yourself down too much. I think you do pretty well, and because your cinema is extremely original. It's operatic, I know, but it's very original. So original that it goes to many other countries. With the writing, the flaw here is the flaw that occurs in the countries of Europe as well. It is mimicry, where people are mimicking other people. So the form is a borrowed form, and the writers here think that to write they have to mimic the established writers.
You speak only of writers writing in English, or
I'm speaking of, well, yes, principally of that. Yes, I don't know so much. I've just read some stories by Premchand. They were rather good. They were rather good.
But there's been nothing really since, even in the Indian languages.
I think that writing, again, such as we want now, depends on a good industrial society. It sounds strange to say, but writing is not just a matter of spirit. Writing is requires very physical things. Printing presses. A book is a physical object. It requires bookshops. It requires newspapers to criticize. It requires a large educated population and this educated population need books because they need to understand what's happening around them. Because living their own restricted lives, home, office, or factory, or wherever, they have no means of grasping what's happening around them, the larger picture. And they look to writing for this. And I think this is only just beginning to occur in India. I think you should not despair yet. Things can't happen too quickly. It's a process of, it's a process.
In the 30 years that you've been coming to India, since you first came in 62,
62,
right?
yes.
So it's more than 30 years.
It's 36 years. Yes.
36 years.
Yes.
What are the things you've seen that have given you hope that there will eventually be a renaissance of some sort?
What gives me hope, of course, the quality of the people I meet. I mean, one must be brutal. I mean, middle-class people, educated people, people with whom one could talk. There were not many of them in 1962. There are people quite removed from one and one's concerns. And this is a growing number of people. This number grows, I think, every month, every year. And I think this growing, educated, and extremely talented middle class you have developed here will look after you quite well in the years to come.
This is V S Naipaul Noble.
Great honor.
कोई 2-3 साल पहले V.S. नाइपॉल की शादी एक पाकिस्तानी महिला नादिरा अलवी से हुई। नाइपॉल साहब की मुलाकात नादिरा से लाहौर में हुई, जहां वो अपनी नई किताब पे रिसर्च करने गए थे।
I would come back from office, you know, being a columnist and being a writer there. I was so depressed at what I saw was the situation in my country. So depressed about the political situation and so tired also, you know. And I wasn't coming to this American Consul General's dinner. And I decided, oh, well, I'll go. And I met a fellow journalist there, whom you know also, who asked me, do you know V.S. Naipaul? So I thought, oh, God, what a silly question, do you know V.S. Naipaul? I said, of course I do. He said, he's here. I said, don't be stupid. He said, yes, he's here. I said, where? He said, oh, hang on a minute, I'll introduce you. There he is. And I saw this man, very tired man, actually, then. And I had this impression of great I looked at him, and I'll tell you something which I hope is not misconstrued. When I looked at him, I myself was on such a loose end. I felt such pity. I don't know why. Because basically also, I walked up to him and I felt that I was in the presence of something very good. Good. But yet there was I felt sorry. And maybe I was feeling sorry for myself, you know? And I looked at him and he was having his plate. He had very little food. And this is what I call his Brahmin instinct, very little food put away. And he was playing with it. And I said, "Are you V S Naipaul?" And he said, "Yes." I said, "Can I kiss you?" And he said, and before he could answer, I leaned forward and kissed him on his cheek. And he looked at me and said, "I think we should sit down." When he's writing, he becomes completely a recluse, in the sense that he becomes very secluded and he doesn't talk. And he doesn't want to deal with the outside world. He would like to use me as a springboard, like he'll come and he will talk, but he doesn't want me to reply because he's churning out his thoughts and I'm just supposed to listen. And I've got used to it now because I know that he's framing something or he's considering something and he needs me there. He needs someone that he trusts. He needs someone whose judgment he respects. And then he just wants someone to listen to him.
भारतीय संस्कृति की आजकल हमारे राजनेता और सरकारी अफसर बड़ी बड़ी बातें करते हैं। हर दूसरे दिन कोई ना कोई हमको याद कराता है कि हमारी संस्कृति खतरे में है। माइकल जैक्सन के भारत आने के खिलाफ मोर्चे किए गए और मिस वर्ल्ड कॉन्टेस्ट जब बेंगलोर में हो रहा था तो इसको भी भारतीय संस्कृति का अपमान कहा गया। दूसरी तरफ जो हमारी पुरानी संस्कृति की कुछ बची कुची यादगारें हैं वो धीरे धीरे तबाह हो रही हैं। नाइपॉल साहब इस बात से बहुत दुखी हैं।
It's very, very upsetting, both what I saw in Bhubaneswar and what I saw in Hampi, the capital of the great kingdom of Vijayanagar. One of the glories of India was the very wide main street of Hampi, which is the capital of the Vijayanagar kingdom. I really can't tell you how wide it was. It was paved, it was very wide, and when I saw it in '62, it was a glorious thing, one of the most glorious things, I think, in Asia. I went there now to look at it. It's destroyed. It doesn't exist. I wouldn't have thought it possible that something so grand could have been destroyed. If you destroy your monuments, you will have nothing to show for the past. And we have a very good example. Your neighbor here, Pakistan, there are no Hindu monuments. It's as though Hinduism and Buddhism never were there. So it is possible to wipe out the memories of the past. And again, in the name of continuity, you destroy the past.
It's a funny thing because, you see, in Pakistan, it was in the name of change, of declaring the past dead.
Yes.
That they did what they did. And,
yes.
And they cut their roots off completely.
Yes.
In India, it's in the name of preservation that they're doing this. So it's a peculiar kind of dichotomy because actually what they're trying to do is to preserve the past.
No, I don't think they're trying to preserve it, you know. I think it would be better understood if, in fact, these were great monuments. People who come here at the moment can't understand them, but they will in time. They will in 20, 30, 40, 50 years understand the glory of this place. And that understanding of your past is a very high form of religion to me, rather than, honoring a deity, which you could honor in many other places. And the same thing, I fear, is going on in Bhubaneswar, those great, great temples. Bhubaneswar was so destroyed when the Mughals broke through at the end of the 16th century. And now the final act of vandalism is by the Pandas. These things are not going to live much longer. And we just have the dust. Whenever I see the red flag flying over an old ruin in Orissa, my heart sank, really. I didn't feel this was continuity, because I know that those things were abandoned for a long time and knocked about. And these people have just crept in and built their shoddy little houses and wish to exact money from people, I think is rather awful. It's bad. It's bad. But probably one is talking to, no one is listening.
I want to ask you one final question, and a personal one. What is it about India that draws you?
Well, I suppose my religion is being Indian. It's absurd, but that's my background, and I've always, you know, I just have to explore this in various ways. That's all I can say, really.